They have even ruined the sacred desert sites. The restless, secular spirit of our times, supposedly so cultured, has destroyed sacred desert sites that bring so much calm and sanctity to souls. When a person lacks inner peace, he cannot find peace anywhere. It's almost impossible to find a quiet place anywhere on earth today. Look what they have done to the Holy Land. We read in the life of the hermits Foteni about the many kiosks and cantinas that sprang up in the wilderness where she once had lived as an ascetic. In centuries old ascetic caves, where so many saintly people spent their lives, the British started selling refreshments. This is what has been made of the desert. It is now full of houses, radios, stores, hotels, and airports. What Saint Cosmas had once predicted has come true. A time will come when gypsies will hang their instruments where our brave young men now hang their weapons. What I am trying to say is that this is also our sad condition today, where monks used to live ascetic lives, weaving their komboskoinia and saying their prayers. They now have radios and soft drinks. But in a few years, these things may be useless. The way we are going, life itself will come to an end. The end of life, the end of the world. Geronda, is there a quiet place left on the holy mountain of Athos? Even there today, where would there be a quiet place, since new roadways are constantly being cut through the forests, and the place is full of cars. Even the most remote and quiet places can now be reached by car. I wonder why these people have come to the desert. When a gentle wind from the desert would stir the reeds, Saint Arsenius the Great used to say, "What is this noise? Is it an earthquake?" I wonder what the Holy Fathers would be saying now if they could see and hear the things that go on today. In the old days, the monks in charge of various chores, especially those who served in the refectory and in the archontarchy of the Coenobitic monasteries, would get very tired. They had to wash dishes, scrub the copper pots, and so on. Today, they have so many conveniences and devices, and most of these devices are noisy. I remember in our monastery we used to get water from a spring in containers and slowly lift them to the third floor where a wind less. Today they bring the water up with a motor, and you constantly hear a thumping noise, duck, duck. The walls shake and the window panes vibrate and creak. They should at least put a sound barrier around it. When I was serving in the army during the Greek guerrilla war, I used to charge the radio battery using a silencer so that the noise it made would not bother people nearby. One day, some monks came to my calavi and started speaking in really loud voices. I said to one of them, "Please speak more softly. They can hear us on the other side of the yard of my calavi." He would not listen. "Please lower your voice," I repeated. "Bless me, Father," he said finally, "but we have a generator in the monastery, and we have become accustomed to speaking loudly to hear each other. Can you believe that?" Instead of saying the Jesus prayer and speaking in a low voice, they shout because they got used to having a generator. We are like young people who remove the mufflers from the exhaust pipes of their motorcycles so that they can be noisy. This spirit has now entered monasticism. That's where we are heading. We enjoy being loud. I saw one of the sisters this morning. She was dressed like an astronaut. She was walking down the hill with a hat on her head, a mask over her mouth and nose, and a lawn mower in hand, and she looked totally satisfied with herself. Even the astronauts were not as proud when they came back from their moon mission. In a little while, I heard the noise of the lawn mower. Woo, woo. I looked over and saw that she was cutting the weeds. I can't believe that there is no place where one won't hear constant noise. As soon as she was done, another person came with an even louder machine and started plowing. He ran here and there, plowing the ground. Then another noisy machine was used to break up and level the plowed soil. Look at what has happened to us. But Geronda, these machines make our lives easier. Oh, if you knew the alternatives that exist. There are too many of these devices around. You must avoid noise and loudness as much as possible. This constant buzzing takes you away from a truly monastic way of life. Why have you put a sign outside that reads, Hesychasterion? Why don't you write instead buzzing place or place of unrest? What is the purpose of having a monastery if there is no peace and tranquility in it? Try to limit these noisy activities as much as you can. I see that you have not yet experienced the sweetness of Hesychia. If you had, you would be better able to understand me and what I am trying to say. If you had tasted the spiritual fruit of Hesychia, you would indeed have the good kind of restlessness and concern, and you would strive all the more to acquire the holy Hesychia of the spiritual life.